Hey guys, welcome back. Behind me is a 2005-ish Lincoln LS. Customer complaint is there is no heat. Sorry, I'm going to look up the exact year while I'm talking to you. Customer complaint is no heat in the wintertime, no air conditioning in the summertime. I have not done a recover on it to see how much Freon is left in the system. The temperature doesn't really change much out of the vents. So I went ahead and scanned it, and it's a 2004 Lincoln LS. So here's what we got in the climate control. The 1242 airflow recirculation door circuit. That wouldn't cause our lack of heat or cold air. This B2799 and 2797 passenger and driver water valve circuit open. And then this B1265 bypass divert door driver circuit fail. Not sure what that bottom one is, but the water valve circuit I have seen in the past. And we're going to take a look at a few things. I have the diagram pulled up. Right here is the water valve. On the diagram they call it a coolant control valve. So I highlighted that wire. Let's scroll up here. There's a splice. Fuse number 1, 10 amp fuse. This is in the underhood fuse block. So let's go check that out. So I found fuse number 1 was blown. So I grabbed the power probe hook. It has a built-in circuit breaker that I can set to the same amperage as the fuse. I also have this lead that I typically use when I use this, and it has a, am I blinding you? Sorry, there's a light on it. 20 amp inline fuse, just in case for some reason the circuit breaker internal here does not work. But I've already set this to 10 amps, and what I'm going to do is this terminal end has the same thickness as a fuse, if not a little thinner. That side there has 12 volts. This side over here has 0. So what we're going to do, I'm not sure why it's not showing ground. Maybe it does not have a short at the moment. But let's go ahead and power this up. Okay, so immediately the circuit breaker is tripping repeatedly. So something in the system is causing the circuit breaker to immediately trip. The first thing that I'm going to unplug, because it's fairly easy to get to, is the water control valve. It's not super easy to get to, but I just have a long pick here. I can unplug the connector without having to go too deep in the engine bay. So let me rearrange the camera so you guys can see sort of where it's at. And if the short circuit doesn't go away, then I will have to move through the diagram and see what else there is that can cause a short circuit. So I have the air intake pipe off. Right away we can see there is a coolant leak on this upper radiator hose. Customer also had a complaint of air conditioning not working. There is some green dye around the top of the dryer here. I don't know if the O-ring underneath this line is leaking. And then right down below that, we can see the top of the water valve. And there's a red connector. I got it unclipped. I just have to unclip the connector from the unit, but I have the safety latch off. So let me unclip that and we'll see if our short circuit goes away. If it does not go away, then we're going to have to try and unplug the water pump that's right below it. Okay, let me see. Let's see if I can show you this connector, show you what I pushed on to release it. Oh, and inside the connector is wet. I'm not sure if you guys can see that or not, but that could be our issue right there. But what I did is I pulled up on this off camera to release the locking tab. It's normally pushed all the way down. Pulled up on that, and then I just reached in here and kind of pushed on this while pulling on the wires gently. I wasn't trying to rip them out of the connector, and it came right undone. and that's probably because it's nice and lubricated with all this antifreeze. I don't know if I can get a shot of the connector itself. Let me see if I can get you in there. You see it right there? There's antifreeze in the connector. So now that that is unplugged, we're going to do the same test. Didn't trip the breaker. I'm just going to shut off the buzzer. We're showing 0 amps. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to start up the vehicle. Might get a little camera shake, but start up the vehicle. Make sure that if it tries to kick on the coolant pump or anything else, that I don't have further issues. I don't know if I need to replace this harness or if I can even get it still on a 2004 Lincoln, but I would prefer to replace the water valve and the harness. When I unplug the coolant pump down below, I can inspect it further, make sure that it's not leaking, make sure that there's no corrosion in that pump itself. So with that connector unplugged, let's go ahead and turn this on and see if we trip the circuit breaker. Let me kill the buzzer. We are not tripping the breaker. Let me start the vehicle up real quick and we'll verify that nothing else happens once I turn the key on. The amperage did not go up, so I'm going to say that the water valve is our primary issue. I'll make sure to check out that water pump while I have this stuff apart. If it's leaking at all, if I see any stainage in that connector, then the pump will get replaced at the same time. Let's go ahead and check the air conditioning. So as soon as I turned on the air conditioning, it tripped the circuit breaker, I think, and it stalled the vehicle. I do have the air cleaner housing off. Maybe I'll just unplug the mass airflow. It'll put it into a limp mode, but it should still run. It's possible that it tried to kick that water pump on. I don't know if that is the external temp. Nope, external is 80. It's set on 90 degrees, so it's probably trying to activate the electric coolant pump. So I hear the circuit breaker tripping over and over again. The compressor is also cycling. Now it shouldn't be tripping the circuit breaker because we're only pulling 3.5 amps. Correct? That seems pretty logical to me. But that also proves that we need power at this terminal for the compressor to run. I think that is just a glitch in my power probe. I haven't used it in a really long time and I couldn't remember why, but maybe that's the reason. It's probably sat in my toolbox for 2 years without being used. I recently cleaned out my toolbox, saw it, and I was like, hey, I need to use that thing more. So I thought this was a perfect opportunity, but it's got some issues. I mean, the thing is repeatedly tripping the circuit breaker. It probably has something wrong with either the firmware or the circuit board itself. But I will do a recover and recharge on this. Actually, we need to fix that O-ring. Let me turn the temp all the way down, see if we get some cold air out of the vents. And then I'm going to call it a night because it's 10 o'clock. Okay, we do have cold air. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Get rid of all the dinging. So we confirmed that the air conditioner works. I think the short cycling on the compressor is because of my power probe hook acting up. I'm still going to recommend recovering the Freon, replacing O-rings on the dryer, and then recharging it. We need to replace the water valve, replace the fuse. If I can get a harness, I'll get a harness. If not, we're going to have to clean that one up the best we can. Hope for the best. And with all that stuff fixed, we also need a radiator hose. It's leaking. The customer should have a Lincoln LS with good heat, good air conditioning. Here in Colorado, you typically need both of those on the same day, especially spring and fall time. It'll be 35 degrees in the morning. It'll be 80 degrees in the afternoon. You need both systems working properly all the time. So if you guys have any questions or comments, put those down below. I'll try to get back to you as quick as I can. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe and click the bell. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.